I think maybe 1 or 2 classes we can conduct, some ideas, or we can throw some ideas around of how to do the drawing. So maybe Ankush can take this forward for the next lecture as well. But overall, as I told you last time, we have finished with the portion. Now I can definitely go ahead, Ankush, and we were just discussing that what can we do with the class. So should we give you an assignment, or should we, continue giving the lectures? Uh, I would love to give you an assignment, but then I'm your year master. So I know that you guys don't have time. This year is very crucial for you because university vivas are lined up, and they can be a little tougher. So I don't want you to take away the already less time that you have for ideas. So the idea was that construction class is opening up. They also have more or less finished with the portion. Services have finished with the portion. You don't have AD to, get hangover from. So what we were thinking is the IDS will spill over into these classes, but that does not mean that I will not be there, Ankush will not be there. Okay, the attendance will happen because we are answerable to admin, and we are ISO branded college. That means if there is an inspection by the ISO people, they will check that on Wednesday there is a slot of services, on Tuesday there is a slot of construction, and then these are the attendance not taken. We will be answerable to those people and to the chairs above. So the attendance will be taken right till the last date, whether you come or not. My sincere suggestion, and I keep saying this is university year. University is not going to think, okay, this person is sick, उसको COVID हुआ था, उसको बुखार आया था, उसको ये नहीं था, वो नहीं था. They are not going to consider that because they have हजार other students consider that. Okay, so what they are going to follow is 75% of attendance. 25% is already granted to you for the medical. So don't think कि 75 के बाद आपको medical मिलने वाला है. 75 is with the medical. So whether you are sick or not, 75% you have to finish. So by default आपको university इतना दानवीर है कि 25% पहले ही दे दिया है कि चलो eventually some of the other kid is going to fall sick, और घर का कोई member sick हो सकता है, where the kid is supposed to help the parents. Fine, take it. Okay, so please guys, 6th semester है. This is the last compartment of your first क्या बोलते हैं, sorry, the last stage of your first compartment. That is your first 3 years. If any one of you have any backlog, even from third semester, fourth semester, fifth semester, as well as sixth semester, internal, please write this in capital. If some किसी को नहीं समझा, please ask me. If you have any internal backlog, you will repeat the year. So utilize this time that you get for services by paying attention and paying attendance. And so the another train of thought was, I just discussed with Ainsley and Jimmy and the rest of the guys, was this, that we continue taking the classes by teaching you something extra, but that would be again taking away the time from you, which I don't want to do it. But I would love to teach you something extra, provided you are ready for it. Okay, if I get 70% consensus in writing from you guys, only then I'll take a step forward. Otherwise, I am not going to take a step forward. So what we are going to continue is that this, as I said, we will open up for your ideas. So in that case, from any group, I might be leading my 10 students, fine. So I'll deal with them in my idea studio. But say there are other groups, say from Ainsley's group, from Kimaya's group, from Swati, Dharmesh is a new faculty that has joined us. So all these faculties may say, agar kisi ko bhi koi bhi services related issues hai, this slot will be open for that. So we can actually share the drawing, we can see the drawings, and then the whole class can take the tips from there and can go ahead while you guys can continue working on your drawing. So that is one way of taking the class ahead. So let me know the CRs. You guys can have a private meeting among your group, which you are very good at, and let me know the things, right? So we can have a consultation. I mean, we can have a meeting with your CRs after you guys decide. So Parth, Komal, Riddhi, and Athira, please let me know what is the decision. And now, Ankush, please, you may start your thing. And I'm going to take the attendance. So whoever I hear, good. Who are not there, even help. Okay, attendance is taken.
Okay.
You shall I start recording, Ankush?
I started.
Okay.
Can you all see my screen?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. So far in our through our lectures, we've pretty much gone over all of it. Meenal has taken you guys through aspects of logistics, aspects of technicality, how these services really come in place in all across the building. All of these technical and logistical aspects have been covered, right? But now, if you are really paying a lot of attention to the services in your building, and often it happens that some of the key USPs of your projects end up becoming things that are dealt through services. Then there are certain other kinds of drawings or sort of narratives that you need to be presenting. Maybe this may be in your synthesis drawings. These may be in the drawings that you present to the clients, to any public office or whoever has commissioned the project. Uh, and these are very important to really show the intent of the project, right? So today we'll just keep the whole presentation very breezy. We're just going to be looking at a few projects, six actually, no, five. Yeah, six projects, and we're going to be looking at what. So the question we're going to ask throughout this project is how exactly do we express the role of services in our design, right? So that means what role really do the services play in the narrative of a building? Like if you really had to describe the function and the ontology of a building, right? So what role do the services play in that? That is the first question. The second thing is, how do you represent that? I mean, apart from purely technical and logistical drawings, how do you really represent them so that your idea is communicated to your client, to the public, whoever, right? So to answer these two questions, what we'll do is we'll examine six different narratives. Okay, so they're essentially all architectural projects, different architectural projects, and each of them have a narrative that they're trying to tell through their drawings. Okay, and we'll look at how these roles of services or the importance of services they are told through various types of drawings and representations. Yeah. So we're going to be looking at six narratives essentially, okay, which are in front of. The slides are changing, right? I mean the PDF is moving,
Yes.
right? Okay, okay.
Yes.
So these are six sort of narratives that different projects have chosen to show. Actually, when you see the project, you'll realize that these are really very strong characters of the project. So the first one is services as an assembly, right? Where you imagine the building to be an assembly of various systems of structural systems, of electrical systems, of plumbing systems, of MEP systems, and these assemblies are shown in conjunction with all the others, so that you know that it's a kit of parts. You know that the services is creating a larger whole, right? The second one is where we look at the services as the chief protagonist of our story, right? Every time we present a concept drawing, we always talk about the main character, right? Maybe it may be the user, it may be the building, it may be a roof, it may be anything, right? But in this case, where you choose to show the services as your main protagonist of your narrative, the kind of drawings that you choose to make will be slightly different. So that's the second case we'll be looking at. These may not necessarily be in the order in the following slides. Then the third one is we'll be looking at services as the metabolic, right? Every building, just like a living being, has these processes. They're breathing, respiratory processes. They may be digestive processes, excretory processes. So how do we show the use of these services to facilitate a system of a building? How does it breathe? How does it consume energy? How does it manage waste? All of those things, yeah. Then the fourth one we'll be looking at is services as the main vocabulary of the design, where it's really, the project is choosing to use services as a design statement. There may be a larger philosophical question behind it as to why you want to do that. We'll talk about it briefly also, but yeah, so this is basically where people really want to project that the services are an important element of the design vocabulary. The fifth one is where services are looked at as systems, as manipulable, completely organized, and smart. Increasingly in today's world, smart systems, right? So these are kind of representations that usually arise out of doing services in detail along with your BIM, right? When you're feeding your BIM software with enough information about, say, pipe carriage or voltage carrying capacities, your riser pressures, all kinds of things, right? So, and how those kind of give you drawings that establish a narrative of the project in itself. And the last one we'll be looking at is just a whimsical sort of thing where, some like in a lot of, I'm sure you've seen science fiction also, services and technology become like this big part of how we speculate a future, right? So there we're going to be looking at some examples of how services have been used to speculate certain kinds of futures. What is the life going to be in the future, right? So that's basically going to be the presentation, and following this, we'll just have a very general conversation, I hope, if you're awake. Okay, so the first one we'll be looking at is when the services are treated as a part of an assembly, right? So this project, I'm sure you're all quite familiar with it. It's the CCTV headquarters by OMA. So just straight away looking at this drawing, what it tells you is that there are multiple components that are essentially making up the building, right? So there are like programmatic diagrams here. There are spatial diagrams here. There are actually service related diagrams here. There are information related diagrams here. So this slide, for instance, right now shows that it's part of a larger network of systems, right? But each of them then start to explain how, like for instance, this slide, these two drawings, they really show the visitor circulation, which is shown in this brown, reddish, orange sort of color here, and these other service scores, right? So right away, looking at this as drawing, you realize that the architect has really put in a lot of thought into how these systems form a part of the mass of the building. Because if you see that all of these things collectively, the ones at the bottom, all of these things collectively are what really end up becoming the CCTV towers that we so know iconically, right? So this is another example where it is treated as an assembly. It was a competition for a housing complex. So this was by Kevin Pham and Alex Ong. I urge you to actually check out a few of these projects and even other details related to these after you're done with the presentation or whatever. So this is called the Water Smart Home. And what these guys have done is, again, they're not really in these diagrams. They're not really talking about the designed space. They're not really talking about the volumes or anything. What they are talking about is there are zoomed in versions of this larger diagram here. Maybe I can actually zoom in here as well. Yeah. So what these are doing is they're really showing you how the building manages to kind of take all the services in through without really it ever being a hindrance at all. So you know how Louis Kahn had this whole concept of served and servant spaces, right? So all of these spaces that you see in the middle, they're all essentially served spaces. These are the spaces that are, say, in like an architectural food chain above the servant spaces. And these servant spaces, they're not necessarily treated in such a way that they need to be aesthetically pleasing or even be in contact with people. But these are servant spaces that are kind of servicing these, right? So these kind of diagrams, you see, are very essential to establishing that kind of a narrative. So here we're not talking about the design, we're not talking about the green wall. A lot of other crazy things are also happening. There are a lot of volumes happening here, but this diagram is only talking about how that system of MEP in this case is running through the building to make it function. Yeah. So this again is an example of how you represent services as part of an assembly. The next narrative that we're going to be looking at is services as part of the metabolic system of a building. Okay, so this is actually quite a nice project. It's gotten some LEED certifications and all that as well. It's in Seattle. It's called the Stone 34 Complex. And what this diagram does is, of course, apart from all of the logistical and technical drawings that will accompany the project, what these two drawings do is they really show how the building is breathing, how it's living, right? So the first diagram here, if you can see, what it's doing is it's talking about how the building deals with its climate control, with its air, with how with the atmosphere also in a certain way, right? So you can clearly see that there are all of these different components that have been shown. There is a green roof that has been shown as part of the design, but there are also these service. They're showing a flow diagram of how the chiller tower actually cools down the entire building. They're showing passive techniques of cooling and how there is almost like a ventilation shaft in the form of that staircase. It's becoming like a large canyon, right? And we have Minal has spoken about these kind of techniques even for the even when we were talking about fire, right? How you manage to maintain pressure in these kind of closed circulation environments. So this diagram is really showing that, right? Like over the life of the building or over the course of the day of a building, how is it breathing? How is air being taken in and how is it being exhaled out, right? The one on the right here, it talks about how the building is dealing with the matters of water. Okay, so it is definitely receiving precipitation, but it also shows how it gets the water from the city water connections and how it takes it through what happens. There is an OHT here. So you'll notice here that we're not really being particular about the pumping mechanisms or the riser layouts or even the number of risers we might have or even the calculations, right? 80%, 20%. We're not dealing with any of that. What we are trying to narrate here is how the element of water moves through the body of the building, right? Again, then we're also talking about how it is treated and let out. So how there are treatment plants here, how is rainwater collected, how it's treated, and how it's finally taken out. There are percolation pits, all of that, right? So this drawing, even though it's talking about the services, very, very crucially, it's talking about services, but it's not really talking about services in the typical sense that we get from looking at service layouts. Yeah. This again is I would say a very interesting project, not so much because of the representations, but because of the way a community, an entire community, in fact, has been imagined to be. It's called the Beddington Zero Energy Development. It's in Sutton, London, and what it does is just move the slide. So right away you'll see that and you'll notice that a lot of these narratives, they're not necessarily insular, they're not necessarily close. So a drawing or an intent that is showing maybe services as the metabolic may also be really talking about vocabulary. So in this case, the architects have also chosen a vocabulary that is emphasizing the fact that services are a big part of this building, right? But so let's talk about the metabolic here. Again, in this section, it's a very sketchy sort of section, but what it does is it's showing you again the same thing. It's showing you how water is received by the building, how it is collected, treated, how it is channeled across the building, how water is received from outside, how waste is treated, how they manage to even create energy out of that. So it is really talking about the entire metabolism of the building. Yeah. Again, this is the USGS administration building. So this is, I think, in Seattle. Yeah, yeah, it's in Seattle. So again, this building, a larger complex, of course, but again, then still talking about the same kind of processes. How the building is really inhaling and exhaling, how it is channeling water through it, how it's cooling, all of that, right? So you see the intent again, and this drawing is fairly more detailed than the drawing that we saw here, right? But again, it is still not detailing out just technicalities or not even pipe layouts. It's really not showing you pipe layouts either. What it's doing it's focusing squarely on the narrative of the metabolism, and that is what it chooses to represent. Okay. Something is wrong with the line. Okay. So yeah, this again, we saw this project earlier, the Water Smart Home. So these are a set of drawings that again show this metabolic nature. You'll notice that this drawing on the right, you'll see zoomed in sort of thing here. So each of these sections, they really, represent all of the components that make the building live and breathe. How are these green sort of facades and blankets maintained? How are the rises? This even actually goes on to tell you about the pipelines and how where they exactly go. But these are not really showing you dimensions or anything. These are showing you the intention, right? How through the skin of the building, all of these services also are being dealt with. So that's what this essentially is doing. Okay, so this next one is something that a lot of architects tend to do at least some point during their careers, because these are like, especially with the whole rise of LEED ratings and GRIHA ratings and all of that, it becomes like a USP to sell a project, right? If it's a public project, no, it has to have solar panels, it has to have tons of rainwater harvesting. If it's a big project, if it's a big airport, it has to have a lot of wind power or solar power and things like that. So how do you make the services in that case the chief character of the story that you're telling in your design presentation, right? So this, of course, everyone knows this. I really hope everyone knows this. Example, it's the Center George Pompidou, and by Renzo Piano, Richard Rogers, and this building really was kind of like a defining moment, you can say. In later, this whole style started being called high-tech architecture, which is honestly a very stupid name for this. But what it does is it inverts the relation. It's an inside-out building, right? What it's saying is that we don't want to hide how the building functions in crevices and dirty ducts and all of that. We want to show it right out, because that's how the building is functioning. And these guys are the main protagonists, right? So you're designing them, you're making heroes out of these service elements, right? Your ventilation, your circulation, all of these things really become the primary generator of design. This is how it sits in the context. I'm sure you've seen these. So right away you'll see that throughout it's very evident that these guys, and when I say these guys, I mean the service components of the building really have been aggrandized. They have been given a lot of significance, and you'll notice also the color coding here, right? So he's done something very, I mean, not he, they have done something very interesting with the way they have selected the color palettes and the visual aesthetic of it. Even that kind of tells the story of how the building is essentially being served by all of these characters. And these are actually the drawings that you'll see from now on, the next 2 or 3 slides. They are actually drawings from the office of Renzo Piano. So this is how the east elevation was proposed. This is, of course, a model that has been clicked to represent an elevation. But this again shows very clearly the services and the color codings, right? Again, these are also office drawings of the same building. You'll very clearly see that the architects have used different colors to really denote different aspects or different services. So the green everywhere in the building is to show anything that is used for circulating water. Blue is for circulating air. Smaller HVAC components, but white components like these large, almost defining sort of these outlets that are coming out here. They're rendered in white. Yellow is for all the power and electricity related stuff, and red is for all the circulation within the building. So it's not just that it's not just diagrammatized. It's actually being built on site as such. So it becomes very crucial to provide a drawing like this that really lays out that narrative, that intent of the architect. Yeah. Of course, it is now become so iconic that, like, even if you just look at these abstract representations of the place, you can very clearly say that this is the Pompidou Center, because of the way these protagonists have always been represented throughout mass media, throughout your journals, Arc Dailies, Pinterest, whatever, right? So these protagonists then become very important, and it's almost easy to forget that these were actually service components of the building, they're not even the usual publicly accessible sort of spaces. Yeah. Again, so iconic that there have been a lot of artworks that have been inspired from it. This one's by Asbjørn Jan Lundvik. This one's by Jack Bedford. These were part of the exhibit that were placed inside the Pompidou Center, which is an exhibition center. So yeah, so that's how these service components have really been given a hero role in a sense. You know, they've become the main protagonists of the story. This is an example from apna the second year ideas actually. So one of the students had a whole design and all of that in place, but always in the back of her mind was how she runs the water through the site, through the building, and how it need not be hidden away. How these services are dealt with, even a lot of her treatment and all of that is exposed. So sewage treatment and all that is exposed. So this is her synthesis drawing. And what she has done is this is Rati, by the way, if you guys want, if you know her. So what she has done is in this synthesis drawing, she has really outlined the services more than you'll notice on the right that the building is really grayed out. Okay, it's almost as if it doesn't matter. Okay, it's just there to give you some sort of reference that this is where the roof happens or this is where the channeling happens. But the main focus here is kind of on the way these systems are channeled, how the water, how the waste, and all of that is moving through the building. So again, this is a kind of drawing where services are being given a very important narrative, and they portray these narratives as the chief protagonist. Right? Then we look at services as the chief vocabulary of design. And of course, even in a lot of the previous examples, you would have seen this to be true. This again is an iconic building which really shows, again, it was a series of those high-tech architecture buildings by Richard Rogers. Then you can really see the kind of visual language that he has borrowed from the Pompidou Center. You know, these were around, I think they were roughly around the same time as well. So they really have a lot of conversation going on between them, these buildings. And again, here the even though the architect has not chosen to aggrandize or separately mark out these service elements through the use of colors, but you can very clearly see that the design language has evolved out of the presence of these, right? So there are these long shafts, there are these long ductings, even the circulation cores that you see winding in steel and aluminium, they're very prominent, yeah. So this again is the elevation that was prepared for this. So you can very clearly make out that the vocabulary has itself derived from the services, and that's very important to tell when you're presenting your design. Yeah. These are again same. These are not by the office, but these are drawings of the same building by many people, many different people. But you start to see like that on the right, there are these sort of drawings which diagrammatize these services like how it was done in Pompidou Center, but that the architect has not chosen to represent it or render it in real life using these colors. But you can very clearly see that idea, how it has trickled down from the earlier projects to his current, the Lloyd's building. Yeah. So yeah, this one is when we look at services as part of a system that is tightly controlled. It's generated smartly, it's generated with intent, that you're not just laying out ducts and expecting the contractor to do it. It is usually when we have such intent, either it is smaller projects, smaller scale, where the architect is really doing everything, or it is a large consultancy and where you've hired MEP consultants, BIM consultants who are actively working on this. So you design, so there is a design architect, there is a service architect, there's a liaison architect. So these guys are really coordinating with each other to make sure that the services are actually a well controlled and well laid out, well organized system. So these are very I'm sorry, the images are really bad, but so when you are working on BIM, right, and you have assigned these attributes to different flows, so these kind of systems become easy to manipulate. Like this drawing very clearly shows, these drawings, they'll clearly show that they have access control points, right? You can very clearly see the formation of node. There are central service cores that are happening. So access and control of these services can all be achieved smartly by the use of remote systems, right? So, and that is what this drawing is really trying to show. It's not even trying to show slopes or gradients, invert levels. It's not trying to show riser thicknesses or anything. It is just trying to show the fact that these are smart systems that have been embedded into the building in such a way that they are freely controlled and accessible at all times. Yeah. So, and the last one we reach is when we want to imagine something fantastical, something whimsical, and we do these kind of fancy, like for instance, if I were to ask you to imagine, say, a city that's in the future, like maybe 50, 60 years down the line. Some of you may have ideas about cars, flying cars. Some of you may have ideas about food, about how no one anymore consumes food. They just eat pills or they just drink protein shakes and stuff. All kinds of these fantasies have been propagated in sci-fi, in literature, in comics, in popular, in pop fiction, all kinds of these imaginations. But in a lot of these imaginations, you will see that inevitably services become a part of it, because they do realize the eventual sort of downfall of society and of our biosystems, and the need to biologically be supported by these systems. I'm sure that you've seen representations of future fantasies where people are breathing out of oxygen masks always, right? So similar things are happening to building. So this project is again a competition entry for Sapphire City, and what this does is it's giving like a very dystopian. I mean, even though it's very colorful and bright, it's actually satire. It's giving an idea of a building that is so desperately in need of being connected actively to air, to water, that really becomes what the building is. You really cannot see much else of the building other than the fact that it is a collection of these tubes and pipes that are going in, right? So it is in a dystopian setting. Again, this drawing not even talking about the technicalities or logistics of this at all. In fact, this was a competition, so I don't think he was all that bothered about those technicalities, anyways. But the point is that if your designs do have such a quality where you're trying to, you know. Where you're trying to portray a certain idea or a speculation of life that you imagine in a future or in an alternate fantasy, then when services become a big part of it, you need to represent it that way. Yeah. So this is another crazy example. So this is actually again a competition entry for an area. So this was actually supposed to be a public project. This is in Tehran, and this was really a political sort of reaction to US imposing sanctions on Iran and them not being able to free trade and currency being blocked and manipulated and all of that stuff. So what this project actually quite whimsically does is it proposes a water theme, a water park, okay, a theme park, and what it says is that the water theme park will be actually a cover for data mining, for cryptocurrency data mining. So the cryptocurrency mining, if you guys have been following digital currencies and blockchain technology and all of that, they need to be mined. They're not just generated like credit card or UPIs, right? So they need those. So systems continuously run to mine that data, and they get very hot. So they're imagining the water park to not just hide these systems, but also cool them, right? So in these representations, they're really talking about these two things, and it's a very fantastical sort of relationship that the two have. But again, you see here like a kit of parts, sort of an assembly thing happening, where they're talking about where the mining rigs are. If I can just zoom in, so this shows where the mining rigs are. These are the water park rides, the leisure spaces. Oops. Yeah, the leisure spaces, and these two really talk about how the services play a big part of this building story. Yeah, so these are those drawings zoomed in where it's showing the water tanks, it's showing these downtake pipes, it's also showing your circulation and all of that, and it's doing all of this still to create that idea of fantasy. So again, here it's a narrative of services that is very different from what we normally tend to show or want to highlight in our presentations, right? So every project will always have, especially if you are thinking about services, you are considering services to be essential to the building, it will have some sort of narrative. It may not even necessarily be these six. This is not an exhaustive list, but the idea is that you must always think of that narrative, and only after you think of what it is that you want to tell through your presentation, through your panel, through your story, do you take a call on the kind of drawings that you produce, right? And like how we've seen in a lot of these examples. So yeah, so that was it. Very short presentation. I would really like to maybe just discuss this with you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you guys here?
So guys, any questions? Really nice, Ankush.
Thanks. I was really thinking of, like how like question of representation of services themselves, and I think this is what came to mind. So
No, that's very. So few of the projects we had already covered in the SEM in the when we were doing IDS and we were taking lectures with them regarding IDS and how to take ahead the IDS, how design can be derived from these kind of, services, construction, interior, structure.
right. Yeah, I'm sure, and I'm sure a lot of these cases, these examples are already familiar to the students as well. It's just that when you look at certain projects in a certain light, is when you realize that the architect probably had these intents when they were creating the drawings for them. So, hey, so none of you have questions, yeah? Or are you? Have you even seen the presentation at all?
And this is, guys, a very nice. I should really thank Ankush for this, because this is exactly what is needed for you to understand how to represent the services at thesis level. Because at thesis level, nobody expects you. And as Ankush said, that even as an architect, okay, and I have been saying this from second year onwards, as an architect, our job is to know things, but we are not supposed to do things. Okay, so there is a difference. When I know things, I will take care of the certain issues that arise because of that thing being there, and so I can deal with that, right? But I do have the facility of having people at my disposal. I have lots and lots of consultants whom I can always call upon their expertise to help me out with any kind of major issues that one has to deal at various levels of construction. So yes, we do have the facility. But the question is, say if tomorrow a consultant comes and gives you certain things, it shouldn't be that you are at complete loss and you don't know what to do with that because you don't understand his language. What is he trying to say? And that can be quite embarrassing, because then they can really take you for a ride, because they also have their own agenda and all that. So as an architect, in the old time, there used to be the master architect. They were called as masters because they would like completely lead the construction. But aaj aisa nahi hai. Today, we can't really be the master of the project because there are so many other consultants taking over, and there are so many different. In fact, safety, if you see, the BMS that I told you about when we were dealing, when we were dealing with what fire and the safety of it, right? It's completely computerized. I mean, you and me are not ready or not cannot deal with this kind of situation. One second, guys.
So have you guys ever actually, like in your earlier projects, have you represented services in a way? I'm sure that you guys have thought about things like rainwater harvesting, etc., etc. Have you done drawings that really emphasize that? And how did you draw those exactly? If someone can just tell me.
Yeah, so I'm back.
Ah.
No, I was just saying that, yeah, I mean, so as a architect, these kind of drawings, which kind of gives you an idea of space, because as I say, 50% of your space is services. So how do you then deal with the rest of the 50%, which is your design ideas? So it's like design and services, and then how they gel each other, how do they separate? Because yes, they do need separation as well, because services has its own way of, it needs maintenance, it needs care, it needs look after and all that. So how does then gel happens? And this is, if you do these kind of drawings, exactly is what we need as an architects.
Yeah. No, so I was just asking them whether they've, in their previous drawings, whether they've attempted to show these kind of. I'm sure, like they have worked on rainwater harvesting, they've worked on all kinds of things. Whether they've attempted to make drawings that show these. I don't.
No, they have synthesis, but I think a lot of them had different ideas on synthesis, and so they might have taken some great construction detail or a detail of the project which they really wanted to highlight, and they've done it. So yeah, I mean, synthesis has again various lens it could be looked at.
I think that our understanding of services has only become like more sophisticated in the past few years. So when we were the way that we would articulate services, or the way that we thought to represent it, were mainly through resolution or through working drawings and things. So like the projects that you showed today, where the services could be like fantasy and science fiction. I mean, I don't really think that we knew enough to kind of imagine the services of the entire building as this cohesive thing. So I think that's something that we can take forward from this.
Right. And it's not just that, not just something that you could or whatever. Increasingly, there are more and more few things that we can that architect can really be known for. Everyone now works with double height volumes. Everyone works with alternate materials. Increasingly now, architects are trying to find spaces where they can innovate, and services have now started becoming that.
Up till now, they were more or less, in fact, we were always short of time because we generally don't have faculties for technical subjects as they have for AD. And and third year is an important year where they're supposed to go for their jury, where technical drawings are very important. So the whole attention is kind of focused there, so that they know how to represent. But guys, that's not the end of the story. Okay, so yeah, I really think this presentation was really good and kind of opened up the the vistas for you, that how one can visualize an architecture with services as a driver, which we tried to show you in fifth sem. I think in a lot of projects which Jimmy showed, the projects which I showed, where we discussed Charles Korea, we discussed Pompidou, I discussed the other one, Lloyd's building. So yeah, where design was the driver. Yeah,
There's some messages.
I guess that's it.
Sarth says that he remembers seeing similar service representations in the seniors car technology panels. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I'm sure that their design ideas, the party, the concepts themselves were quite heavily dependent on these things as well. No? If you went through their project, Sarth. How do you pronounce your name?
Sarth.
Sarth. No?
Hello, hi. No, I don't remember exactly if they were the design was dependent on the services as much, but I do remember seeing such drawings. The way
Let's
in some drawings uh, the whole shaft services shaft has been
Hmm.
highlighted and things like that.
Okay.
You have to do those, because thesis has the requirement of a technology panel, and we have had few cases where the students were failed because though they had worked out everything, and so at thesis level, you have to do two things. One, you have to have a black book, which is your main idea, the book that happens on 9th sem. And in the 10th sem, you have to do something called as a technology book, okay? Which for the want of a better name, it has got stuck with the name called A3 book. I don't know why, but yeah, that's how it has been addressed. Always. A3 book, which is so damn funny because nobody comes with A3 book, bada funny sa lagta hai. So everyone will have a nice square or a A4 or something. But the idea is that initially when the whole conversation started about how do you take, because what used to happen was even at the thesis level, the drawings that used to come were very weak in technology because there was no kind of integration of technology into design. So it used to work parallel, there were never these integration. So the whole education, and I mean, there was these lot of college, mingling and talks were happening, and slowly this start of technology panels being a part of your thesis came up, where nobody is going to look at baba tum kaisa electricity ka wires leke ja raha hai, or how the sewage ducts are being taken out. Nobody gives a damn about it, but how does the whole services or the technology, it can be structure, it could be materials, it could be construction technology, the detailing, it could be services, kuch bhi, the facade systems, the environmental systems that you have taken care of, all that kind of stuff, right? Could be landscape, how that has come as an integral part of architecture as a built form. So, and from there, the shift has slowly started happening. Because till then, no matter how much we tried, that thing never used to come together unless it was marked for it. So I think this was a good move by whoever decided. So yeah, so there is a great emphasis that you have to do these kind of drawings. So that's where these kind of synthesis drawings help, where you try to show things in 3D and kind of resolve it like that. But let me tell you guys, unfortunately, that is not required for your sixth semester studio. Yahan pe you have to do the detailed drawing from the working drawing point of view, where if I give these drawings to the contractor, he will look at me and say, "Ab iska kya karu main?" You know, he will not know how to go ahead. So these drawings that we are going to make for sixth semester is actually a set of drawings that goes and stands for you when you are not there. So the drawings are going to work for you, and that's why they are known as working drawing. Otherwise, you need to be there on the site 24 hours, instruct them like a civil engineer does. So then what will be the difference between you and civil engineer? And that's the reason why drawings are really helpful in, detailing it out. So there are these two kinds of drawings that are there. One is a conceptual drawing, which is idea based, like what Ankush showed you, where, the architect is trying to figure out everything, and then he just kind of construct it in a 3D, trying to show how things are working. Very, very schematic, conceptual, giving an idea about the linkages, vertical, horizontal kind of a thing. And the second level is when the same idea, now you need to detail it out so that it can be actually done on site. So that's where your bylaws will come into the picture, where a municipality will say, Baba, idhar se 3 meters offset nahi hai, you are in Mumbai, this is not allowed. Which will be allowed in, say, Rajasthan, or could be allowed in even Mira Bhayandar, okay, where we do have the examples of buildings touching each other almost. So it depend. So that's where your knowledge about your actual what do you call market constraints are there. Your actual knowledge about materials, knowledge about costing. Nowhere in the entire 5 years is taught to you, and that is the first thing you are going to encounter when you go out. So yes, so that's how this semester is going to pan out.
So Mohit says that.
A lot of meetings.
Sorry,
Somebody
sorry.
wrote a message, but I'm off the. I'm only on my phone. Can you read it out?
Mohit says up till now, whenever we've thought of basic elements of designing a building, we've only followed massing, programming, voids, materials, fenestrations, facades, and services have been just a block within the programming. But yeah, this presentation showed us like a new concept of how services can expand beyond a programmatic block. like the whole realm of technology opens. Yeah. So I think that's what I see. That discourse is anyways coming into our architectural school of thought. No? At KRVI definitely. So yeah, I think it's about time we also started to explore those kind of representations, because otherwise, ek to I'm personally for me, I remember in undergrad, I used to hate service layout drawings that we had to do for our
Everyone is.
no, especially because I used to hate them, especially because the grids. Whenever I see, even today, like even on my project, when I see the structural grid, something inside me shatters, and I just hate it. So it just the nature of those drawings just became, and everyone just assumes कि हाँ नहीं service layout है तो ऐसा ही होना चाहिए. So just and I think it's only after I started working where I really realized कि no, maybe they don't necessarily just have to be those scary drawings. They can also explain something very simply. And then, of course, you need those drawings. You cannot build a project without those drawings. But yeah, I think if you've got it wrapped in your head through simplification, through diagrams like this, I think the whole thing becomes a little more bearable. Okay, so
Yeah.
does anyone else want to ask anything, comment? Okay, I think we okay.
Were removed from
Meeting right before
Sarthak.
attendance.
Okay. I've taken 2 attendance, but if you're there, good. I've taken 2 attendance. So I'll take the later one.
You guys still haven't figured out your mischief stuff. People are being still kicked out and whatnot.
So all of you gave your design jury, right? All of you, na? Was there anyone who did not give design jury?
In my group, there were 2 students who did not.
No.
You mean the third year AD jury, abhi wala, na?
Yeah. 6 sem ka.
I don't remember the names. Let me just try to find.
So guys, one more time, I'm going to say this. You do know the rules, right? Now I'm not talking about services. I'm talking about overall. I am worried because we are getting numbers and it's not comfortable. The numbers of people who will be appearing for various kinds of KT during this time. So what happens is, now this is your end of the 6th semester, almost happening 2 weeks, and then you are there, 2 weeks, 2 weeks, no, sorry, 8 weeks of 8 weeks of IDS. Probably some time will be given to you for your exams, and then yeah, that's the end of the semester. You have to take care of your attendance first of all. So people who have bunk design 8 weeks will now really have to struggle to get their attendance at par. Second, please check your backlog. Please check your backlog. Any one of you having any kind of KTs of even something as simple as getting a college project KT or an elective wala KT, you will not be allowed to go ahead. It's a university rule. उनका ये कहना है, first to third year is the first compartment of architecture, and from hence onwards, that is your 4th and 5th is your second compartment. So in the first compartment, you wish to go to the advanced one, then second one, you have to clear the backlog. External chalta hai, because that is not in your hand, right? It is somebody else comes from outside and fails you, that's not your problem. But internal तो आपके हाथ में है, आपको लगना है आपके faculty के पीछे और आपसे अपने को clear करवाना है. So because you know your internal faculty. So internal backlog should be clear. Nobody in the college will keep your own backlog. ये आपका मामला है, आपको सुधारना है. Of course, we have the records. But who remembers? There are 300, 400 students we deal every year. किसी के पास इतना computerized brain नहीं है कि उनको याद रहेगा, okay? So it is your responsibility, it is your life, it is your profession. Please take care, and especially this is online वाला year है, that's why. सामने दिखता है तो मैं आपको बता सकती हूँ, अरे यार Tera na baki hai, please, you see to your faculty and do it. When I am there to remind you, Ramdas is there to remind you, Hajar other log will be there to remind you, but online, I don't see you guys. Okay, when you come in front of me, I remember, oh yes, and that too, I don't see your face, I don't remember your name. So you can't blame anyone, neither anyone can blame you, but you know your deal. Okay, if you are in a game of professionalism, be professional, cater to your own backlogs and come out of that. Because अगर कुछ भी backlog रह गया, even humanity paper submit नहीं किया है आपने या history का paper submit नहीं किया है, and those marks are not added, you will take a back, a rest at home. So please don't take such risk. Cover up your KT as much as possible, because in the end, how will you cope up with the AD? Sorry, with your KTs, with your IDS, with your current semester or whatever? It will be difficult. So please start. So again, I'm saying, few of the classes are opening up. Please start utilizing those classes, and we are here to help you out. So any one of you needs to discuss things with us, your design, previous wala, this wala, IDS design, okay, services, construction, we are here to help you out. But essentially, we have finished with the portion. And if you wish, I can take the other topics, but that remains to be seen. I need that coming from you guys. Okay, so if you have nothing else to do, thanks, Ankush. That was an amazing lecture. Thank you.
Thanks.